All right, welcome back, everyone, to the Deep Dive. We're diving into a subject today that I think hits close to home for a lot of our listeners.
Parenting plans, those blueprints for how things are going to work.
Exactly. And we're focusing on making those blueprints, those plans, as stable as possible for the kids, making things predictable. Less of a roller coaster.
It's about routine. Kids thrive on routine.
Totally. A predictable schedule, it's like gold for kids. It gives them a sense of security, knowing what's coming next.
Right. It's like that feeling of, okay, I know what to expect. That feeling of safety and security.
Exactly. And setting specific days with each parent. Monday and Tuesday with one, Wednesday and Thursday with the other, and then maybe you alternate weekends.
Makes sense. Provides a framework, a predictable rhythm to the week.
Yeah. So you've got that solid beat going with the schedule, but hold on. Don't just use a cookie cutter approach. It reminds us that a 4-year-old's needs are going to look way different from a teenager's.
Oh, absolutely. You're hitting on a key point there. Think about it developmentally. Younger kids, they often need those shorter, more frequent connection helps them feel safe and secure.
Yeah.
And then as kids get older, they develop more independence, and longer stretches away from each parent might not be as disruptive to their world. It really boils down to, I guess, knowing your kid.
Knowing your kid, yeah, and tailoring that plan, making it work for their personality.
Absolutely, individualizing it.
Okay, so we've talked about the kids' needs, but there's also the plan has to work for the parents too.
Right, it goes both ways.
For example, parents who travel a lot for work.
Yeah.
How do you build that kind of flexibility into the plan without losing that all-important consistency for the kids?
Well, I think it comes down to good communication between the parents and being a little creative.
So like if one parent has a sudden business trip, what then?
Maybe they could do some things ahead of time, like record some bedtime stories or schedule extra video calls, find ways to maintain that connection even when they're physically apart.
That's such a good idea because it is tough. It's like walking that tightrope between consistency and flexibility.
Yeah, you got to find that balance.
For sure. Another tricky part.
Mm-hmm.
Transitions. Those moments when a child is moving from one parent's home to the other, sometimes those handoffs can feel a little bumpy.
Totally agree. Transitions are so important to think through. You want to minimize the disruption as much as possible.
So, any advice on making those transitions smoother?
Lean into the child's existing routine. Think about school drop-offs and pickups. They are already part of the daily flow.
It weaves those transitions right into their day.
Right. More organic, less jarring.
I like that. And speaking of crucial things to think about, we can't forget about communication. Open communication between the parents, that is.
Couldn't agree more. Open communication is like the foundation of a successful co-parenting relationship, especially when those unexpected curveballs come up.
You have to be able to talk, even when things get tough.
Exactly. Calm, respectful conversations, even when you don't see eye to eye on everything. That's the key.
Absolutely. I think that's something a lot of people struggle with, finding that respectful way to communicate.
It's definitely a skill that takes practice, but it's worth it for the sake of the kids.
100%. And it's not just about talking either. It's about being organized.
Yes.
Organization.
So important.
Like a shared online calendar. That's a lifesaver. Everyone's on the same page about scheduling, so you can minimize those last-minute scrambles or misunderstandings.
Brilliant tip. Anything that helps reduce stress and promotes a feeling of teamwork between the parents is a win. Remember, at the end of the day, you both want what's best for your child.
Exactly. Teamwork makes the dream work. So let's recap what we've covered. A predictable schedule is super important, but it has to be tailored to the child's needs and be something both parents can actually stick to.
Right. And then smooth transitions and open communication, those are the magic ingredients that hold everything together.
Couldn't have said better myself.
Yeah.
So as our listeners embark on creating or revising their parenting plans, what's one final piece of advice you'd offer?
Don't get too hung up on achieving perfect predictability. Life happens. Plans change, things come up. It's more about building that solid foundation that has some give, some flexibility, because that's what will allow you to adapt and roll with those punches while still keeping your child's well-being front and center.
That's such a great point. It's about finding that balance, predictability, flexibility, and always keeping those lines of communication open.
Exactly. It's a journey, not a destination.
Well said. And a huge thank you to all our listeners for joining us on this deep dive into parenting plans.
It was a pleasure being here.
We hope you've gained some valuable insights and practical tips to help you navigate this important process. Remember, it's all about creating a plan that puts your child's needs first, providing that stability and support they need to thrive.
Absolutely. Every child deserves that.
So, until next time, keep diving deep into the things that matter most.
See you then.
Bye, everyone.